Hi everyone, so for this skill of L8 solve percent equations, we are going to be using the formula of part is equal to percent times whole. Now, when we read the word problem, it'll be very, very helpful if we annotate, because this will really help me understand my numbers. So when I read it, I see that it says 16 out of 64 students at a school assembly were first grade students. So 16 out of, okay, 64 students at a school assembly were first grade students. What percentage of the students at the assembly were first graders? Now my part is determined by this sentence. When it's asking me for the percent, it's telling me of what? So it's saying the percent of first grade students. Now at the beginning, it's saying 16 out of, so I know that my part, and I'll label that with a P, is 16. And with this problem, it gives me my whole, which is 64. So I'm going to plug it in. 16 is where the part goes. Then this would be my percent. I'm going to use the percent sign as the variable times whole, which is 64. Okay. Now, let's say I'm going to turn my percent sign into an x, right? Now I need to solve for x. And that goes back to single step equations, right? I need to figure out what my inverse operation is here. So this says x times 64. If I want to isolate my x, I need to use the inverse operation. This here is telling me it's multiplication, so the opposite of multiplication is division. What am I dividing? The number that's with it. So I'm going to divide by 64. That cancels out. Divide by 64. Then I'm going to plug that into my calculator. So 16 divided by 64. 16 divided by 64 gave me 0.25. 0.25. But now I have to remember that when I'm given a decimal, in order to change it to a percent, I have to move the decimal over twice to the right. So it's not going to be 0.25, it's going to be 25%. Okay, now let's look at another problem, because sometimes the problem doesn't tell us how many there are in total. So let's now look at this one, and now I need to remember my equation of part is equal to the percent times the whole. Okay, here we go. The bookstore has 3 women's magazines and 12 other magazines. Okay, so neither of those is the total. Those are both parts. So I need to know how much my whole amount is there. So I'm going to need to do on the side 12 plus 3. And 12 plus 3 gives me 15. So I have 15 total. I'm going to need that over here. Let's see what my part is. What percent of the magazine at the bookstore are women's magazines? So now I look back, women's magazines was 3. So where it says 3 here, I plug in for my part. 3 is equal to my percent times my whole amount, which was 15, because for this one, it didn't tell me what the total amount was. Now we need to think back to inverse operation. We divide, right, because the opposite of multiplication is division. We divide by 15. We now put it in the calculator. 3 divided by 15 is equal to 0.2. 0.2. Now, I need to move my decimal twice to the right. 1, 2. There was nothing there, so I have to fill this in with a 0. Now this gives me my final answer of 20%. 12%. Now, if you still have questions on how to solve, ask one of your teachers or go to small group at 117.